Fruit is supposed to be healthy, right? That's what most people believe. But as a brain health doctor, I've seen a surprising trend. Certain fruits, especially when eaten in excess or combined with common medications, can quietly increase your risk of stroke, particularly after the age of 60. The truth is, not all fruits are created equal. Some are packed with hidden sugars that spike blood sugar and insulin. Others are high in potassium or sodium, which can raise blood pressure if not balanced correctly. And a few specific fruits can interact negatively with blood thinners or cholesterol medications, increasing the risk of bleeding or clotting. If you've ever had high blood pressure, atrial fibrillation, or a family history of stroke, this matters more than ever. Your diet might be silently working against your heart and brain without you realizing it. In this video, I'll reveal 5 common fruits that seniors should approach with caution. Stay with me to the end, because the last fruit is a breakfast favorite that could be putting your brain at risk without warning. 1. Canned fruit in syrup, a sugar bomb in disguise. Canned peaches, pears, and fruit cocktails have been kitchen staples for decades. They're affordable, convenient, and seem like an easy way to get more fruit into your day. But there's a hidden danger lurking in many of those shiny cans: syrup. Most canned fruits are packed in heavy syrup, which is essentially concentrated sugar water. Just half a cup of fruit in syrup can contain over 20 grams of added sugar. That's 5 teaspoons, often more than what's in a donut. So what's the big deal? When you consume excess sugar, especially in liquid form, it spikes your blood glucose and insulin levels, triggering inflammation in your blood vessels. Over time, this damages the lining of your arteries, increasing your risk of high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, and yes, stroke. For seniors, this is particularly concerning. As we age, the body becomes less efficient at metabolizing sugar, making it easier for glucose to linger in the bloodstream and do damage. What's worse, sugary foods don't provide lasting energy or satiety, so you end up craving more. And while the fruit itself may contain fiber and vitamins, that benefit is often canceled out by the high sugar content in syrup, which can raise triglyceride levels, contribute to weight gain, increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, a major risk factor for stroke. Smarter alternatives. Read the label carefully. Choose canned fruits labeled in water or in 100% fruit juice. Drain and rinse the fruit before eating to remove excess sugars. Even better, opt for fresh fruit or frozen fruit with no added sugars. These options preserve the natural nutrients without the syrupy side effects. And if you enjoy fruit as a dessert or snack, pair it with a protein or healthy fat, like a handful of nuts or plain yogurt, to stabilize blood sugar and improve nutrient absorption. Bottom line, don't let the word fruit fool you. Just because it started healthy doesn't mean it's still good for your brain and heart once it's been soaking in syrup. Coming up next is a fruit that looks innocent and is often used in small portions, but it concentrates sugar in a powerful, sneaky way that can send your blood sugar skyrocketing. 2. Dried fruit, especially raisins and dates. Tiny but treacherous. At first glance, dried fruits like raisins, dates, figs, and dried apricots seem like the perfect snack: portable, shelf-stable, and natural. But there's a hidden danger in that shriveled sweetness, and for seniors concerned about stroke risk, it's a serious one. When fruit is dried, the water is removed, but the sugar remains. In fact, it becomes highly concentrated. Just 1/4 cup of raisins contains nearly 25 grams of sugar, about the same as a chocolate bar. And since dried fruit is small and easy to overeat, most people consume far more than a serving in one sitting. So, what's the problem with all that natural sugar? For starters, your body doesn't differentiate much between natural and added sugar once it hits the bloodstream. Excess sugar, regardless of the source, can spike your blood glucose, increase triglycerides, and promote inflammation in your blood vessels. That inflammation can lead to plaque buildup, arterial stiffness, and eventually, stroke. Secondly, for seniors, metabolism slows down with age. This means that sugars from dried fruit hit harder and linger longer, putting added pressure on the pancreas and cardiovascular system. For those already managing high blood pressure, prediabetes, or atrial fibrillation, dried fruit can act like a hidden trigger. Third, some store-bought dried fruits come with added sugars and preservatives like sulfur dioxide, which can worsen respiratory issues and further stress the body. That fruit leather or healthy trail mix, it might be doing more harm than good. Smarter strategies for enjoying dried fruit. Stick to 1-2 tablespoons per serving. Use measuring spoons at first to learn portion sizes. Always read the label and choose options labeled unsweetened and no added sugar. Pair dried fruits with nuts, seeds, or Greek yogurt to blunt the blood sugar spike. The protein and fat help slow digestion and reduce the insulin load. Use dried fruit sparingly as a topper for oatmeal or salads, not the main attraction. You can still enjoy dried fruits, but they should be treated more like a seasoning than a snack. And here's something even more surprising. There's one fresh fruit, yes, fresh, that can be even more dangerous than dried fruit for some seniors. Why? Because it directly interferes with heart and stroke medications used by millions. 3. Grapefruit, a medication. Minefield grapefruit might look like a healthy breakfast choice, fresh, juicy, and packed with vitamin C, but for millions of seniors, it could quietly be working against your health. This is because grapefruit contains natural compounds called furanocoumarins, which interfere with cytochrome P450 enzymes in the liver. These enzymes are responsible for breaking down and metabolizing over 85 common medications, especially those related to heart health, cholesterol, and stroke prevention. Here's what that means in simple terms. When you eat grapefruit or drink grapefruit juice, those furanocoumarins block the enzymes that would normally clear medication from your system. As a result, the medicine stays in your bloodstream much longer and at much higher concentrations than intended. That can lead to toxic side effects or make the drug too powerful. For example, statins like simvastatin and atorvastatin, used to lower cholesterol, can build up to dangerous levels, increasing the risk of muscle damage or liver problems. Calcium channel blockers for blood pressure, like felidipine or nifedipine, can cause sudden blood pressure drops or dizziness. Anti-clotting drugs, like clopidogrel, may not work properly or increase your bleeding risk. In some cases, the side effects can be life-threatening, especially when it comes to medications intended to prevent strokes or heart attacks. How serious is the risk? More serious than most people think. The FDA has issued multiple warnings about grapefruit drug interactions, and pharmacists routinely advise seniors to avoid grapefruit altogether when filling certain prescriptions. The tricky part? Grapefruit doesn't come with a warning label, but your medication might. Unfortunately, many seniors aren't aware of the interaction and continue to eat grapefruit with breakfast or drink grapefruit juice with medications. This is especially concerning because many of the drugs affected by grapefruit are taken daily and long-term, making the potential risks cumulative and consistent. What you should do: check with your doctor or pharmacist. Ask if any of your medications interact with grapefruit. They'll know the latest research and interactions. Read your medication guides. Look for warnings about grapefruit juice, citrus, or enzyme interactions. Swap grapefruit for safer options. Oranges, clementines, or mandarins give you that same fresh citrus taste without the risk. Be cautious of grapefruit-flavored drinks or supplements. Some teas, sodas, or flavored waters still contain active compounds. Grapefruit may be natural, But that doesn't mean it's safe for everyone, especially when you're managing complex medications and cardiovascular health. And speaking of natural dangers, one fruit that seems harmless but could quietly affect your heart and kidneys after 60. Don't miss this one. 4. Overripe bananas. Potassium. Spike risk. Bananas are often praised as a go-to snack, affordable, convenient, and naturally rich in potassium, fiber, and vitamin B6. For many, they're a symbol of healthy eating. But for seniors, especially those with underlying health conditions, bananas, when overripe, can become a hidden health risk. As bananas ripen, their starch converts into sugar, and their potassium becomes more bioavailable. While potassium is essential for maintaining heart rhythm, nerve function, and fluid balance, too much of it, especially all at once, can overload your system, particularly if your kidneys aren't filtering efficiently. Here's why that's a concern. As we age, kidney function naturally declines. Add in blood pressure medications like ACE inhibitors, ARBs, or potassium-sparing diuretics, and the ability to regulate potassium becomes even more fragile. For those with chronic kidney disease, CKD, or heart conditions, the body can't always handle a potassium spike, even from a natural source like a banana. When potassium builds up in the blood, a condition known as hyperkalemia, it can lead to irregular heartbeats, arrhythmias, muscle weakness or fatigue, shortness of breath, numbness or tingling, in severe cases, sudden cardiac arrest or stroke. And here's the kicker. Overripe bananas, those soft, sweet ones with brown spots, may contain up to 25% more free potassium than their just ripe counterparts. That's why a simple banana could quietly contribute to a dangerous imbalance. But aren't bananas good for the heart? Yes, but only in moderation and in the right context. If your potassium levels are stable and you're not on medications that affect potassium retention, one just ripe banana a day can be perfectly safe and even beneficial. The problem arises when bananas are eaten, in large amounts in very ripe form, while on certain medications or with compromised kidney function. And unfortunately, most people don't realize that ripeness matters, especially after 60. Smarter ways to enjoy bananas. Choose firm, just yellow bananas, not mushy or heavily speckled. Stick to half or one banana per day if you're watching potassium pair bananas with protein or fiber, like yogurt or nut butter, to reduce sugar impact. Ask your doctor to monitor your potassium levels if you're on medications or have kidney concerns. Even healthy foods can become risky if your body can't process them properly. That's why seniors need to think less about good versus bad and more about what's good for you based on your health profile. And if you thought bananas were risky, wait until you hear about the next fruit culprit. Don't skip this one. 5. Fruit juices. Liquid danger for your brain. Most people think drinking a glass of fruit juice in the morning is a healthy choice. After all, it says 100% juice on the label, right? But as a brain and vascular health expert, I can tell you that even the purest fruit juices can be deceptively dangerous, especially for seniors. Why? Because when you juice a fruit, you strip away nearly all of its fiber, leaving behind a concentrated dose of sugar and fructose. That fiber in whole fruit is what slows down sugar absorption, keeps you full, and protects your blood vessels from sugar overload. Without it, fruit juice behaves much like soda in the body. In fact, just 1 cup of orange juice can contain over 20 grams of sugar, the equivalent of 5 teaspoons. And that sugar, especially in liquid form, gets absorbed quickly, flooding your bloodstream and triggering a spike in blood glucose and insulin. For seniors, this can quietly wreak havoc. Elevated blood pressure. Fructose increases uric acid production, which constricts blood vessels and raises BP. Increased belly fat. Liquid sugar drives insulin resistance and fat accumulation, especially around the waist, a key stroke risk factor. Vascular inflammation. Spikes in sugar cause oxidative stress and damage to the inner lining of blood vessels, making them stiffer and more prone to clotting. Insulin resistance. Regular fruit juice consumption is linked to higher rates of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. These are all major contributors to stroke, especially ischemic stroke, the most common type caused by blocked blood vessels in the brain. Now, here's something most don't realize. Drinking juice on an empty stomach in the morning is even worse, as there's no food to buffer the sugar hit. That's when the spikes are most severe and damaging. And don't be fooled by no added sugar labels. 100% fruit juice still contains naturally occurring sugars in dangerously high amounts when consumed in liquid form. Better options for brain-safe nutrition. Eat the whole fruit, including the skin when possible, for fiber, antioxidants, and slower sugar release. Dilute your juice 50-50 with water to reduce the sugar load. Limit fruit juice to 4 ounces, half a cup, per serving, and pair it with protein or fat to slow absorption. Try herbal teas with a splash of lemon or infused water with berries for a flavorful, low-sugar drink alternative. Fruit can nourish your body or quietly work against it, especially after 60, when your metabolism slows and your medication list may grow. It's no longer enough to say, fruit is always healthy. Some fruits, or the way we eat them, can quietly increase stroke risk, disrupt blood sugar levels, and even interfere with life-saving medications. It's not about fear, it's about eating smarter. To recap, here are 5 fruits and habits to avoid for better brain and heart health. Canned fruit in syrup, high in added sugars that fuel inflammation. Large portions of dried fruit, tiny size, massive sugar impact. Grapefruit, dangerous for those on common heart or cholesterol meds. Overripe bananas, risky for those with kidney or potassium concerns. Fruit juice on an empty stomach, blood sugar spikes, and vascular stress. The good news? Whole, fresh fruits in the right portions are still among the best foods you can eat. Berries, apples, citrus other than grapefruit, and pears offer fiber, antioxidants, and steady energy without the sugar crash. Want to protect your brain? Start by protecting your plate. If this article surprised you, please share it with someone you care about, especially those managing heart or brain health. And tell me in the comments, which of these fruits shocked you the most? Stay tuned for more senior health tips to protect your brain, balance blood pressure, and age with strength and clarity every single day.